So my name is Joanne. I was diagnosed at the age of 21 with an autoimmune disease. So that means that my own immune system was attacking my own body. And so mine was in my liver and it was attacking my bile ducts. So they were scarring and they were narrowing. And at that time, I just finished at BCIT, just started my career as an accountant. And I thought everything was great. I just had a little bit of stomach issues. And when I finally went to the doctor and got my blood tested, we realized that I had this disease. And it was fine for a while. All I had to do was take a pill for every day for the rest of my life, and it would be no big deal. And then I started experiencing a lot of pain in my abdomen. It was really hard to get anything done. I experienced a lot of fatigue, and I just attributed it to being stressed out at work. I thought that, my job as an accountant was just getting harder and harder to deal with. And then I was told that I would need a transplant. My liver had failed to the point where it was no longer working, and if I didn't get a transplant soon, that I would pass away. And so I had to leave work. At the age of 25, I was on disability, and then at the age of 27, everything started going downhill from there. I started swelling up in all of my joints and my stomach, and I started turning yellow. And that's when they said, okay, you need a transplant. And after 4 months of being on the list, I finally received that call. It was around December in 2013, and we were in Metrotown. And so we were surrounded by holiday shoppers. The mall was so busy, and I'm in the middle of Metrotown, and I get a call from BC Transplant that there's a liver available for me. And so I just broke down and cried because I was so happy knowing that all my pain, all my suffering would end. And then I called Krista right away, and I was in tears bawling, and she's like, "Are you okay? What's going on?" And I'm trying to get the words out to her, there's a liver available for me, there's a liver available for me. And she was so happy and so excited for me. And, being my best friend, she was by my side throughout my entire sickness. And just sharing that part of my journey with her has been so amazing. So we get to the hospital, everybody's coming in and supporting me and being with me as I get my transplant, and Krista came to be by my side. But unfortunately that night, I did not get my transplant because this liver wasn't suitable. And so I had to go back home and wait for that other call. Again, I got that call a week later, and again, the first person I called was Krista. And again, she was right by my side, and one of the last people that was there with me as I was being wheeled to the OR. And the transplant was a success, and my life has been saved because that one person said yes to organ donation, and I'm so forever grateful. I'm happy and I'm healthy, and it's all because of that one person.
My name's Krista Winnig. My best friend is Joanne Arcardo. She received a liver transplant, and my sister Madeline Stroop was an organ donor. Sorry, I haven't talked about it in a while. Everything started when we were young. My best friend Joanne, she was really sick when we were in our 20s. She almost wouldn't come out of her basement. So I'd go to her house and take her for walks, and I don't even know what we did, but I got her out sometimes, and she got a phone call, and she had a liver, and it was such an amazing, exciting moment. As sad as it is that somebody passed, that person gave me my best friend back. And so organ donation has always been in the back of my mind. My sister Madeline and her boyfriend Hayden and their best friend Ty were driving to the cabin one day, gorgeous sunny day, on the back roads in Abbotsford, and my sister's boyfriend was 22 He had just received his red seal as a heavy-duty mechanic. Madeline was 23. She was so in love. It was so nice to see her and Hayden just had this great connection, and it was so amazing to see her so happy. And it was just a gorgeous day. They were driving down the road, and somebody went through a stop sign. Killed Hayden instantly. Madeline was helicoptered to RCH, and she later passed away from her injuries. She ended up being brain dead. She was actually a perfect candidate for organ donation. And because she had brain trauma, they had already done an emergency surgery for her, and to relieve some of the pressure in the head. And so my parents were just sitting with her, and in this room, you couldn't talk, you couldn't touch her, you couldn't make any noise. All you could do was sit there and look at her. She had a bandage around her head from the surgery. And my sister, when I got out, asked, what are we going to do? And I'm like, well, when she gets better, we're going to shave our heads too, because there was a big shave spot from where the surgery was. I said, it'll be okay. And her numbers slowly got worse and worse, and she didn't end up making it. But she'd always wanted to be an organ donor. It wasn't even really much of a conversation, because Joanne wasn't just one of my best friends. She's a part of my family, and she's always been there. It doesn't matter who. My sisters would call her, my parents still call her all the time. I think she actually talks to them more than I do. and she was just so close. It wasn't really a question whether Maddie was going to be an organ donor. We were downstairs. Madeline lived with me for a couple years. And we were in the kitchen. It was an easy conversation. Hey, I got this form. I'm going to fill it out, and want to fill it out with me? So we're sitting there talking about it, and she said, okay, well, yeah, fill this out, fill that out. Oh, eyes, I won't need my eyes. I might as well check them off. Not a big deal. Sat on the island, done. And she had the form, the envelope sitting on the island. I don't know how long it was sitting there for, but I'd say probably close to a year. And then it was in her car for a while. Everything was filled out, and then I didn't even realize she had actually mailed it until we were in after her accident, and the lady slid over the envelope with her signature on it. And she had filled out the form. I didn't think I'd ever see that piece of paper again. When she slid over the form, it was shortly, I had actually mentioned, it was almost kind of sad because I was the person who had to mention organ donation to the doctors. We were in one of the meetings, and you haven't slept in days. We're all sitting at the hospital for, I don't know how long, but it wasn't, we all smelled, it was gross, and it was just awful because you just don't want to see somebody like that. And so the doctors kind of were talking around it, and finally I said, well, is she a candidate for organ donation? She's young, and they truly thought she was going to pull through, but it just didn't work. And so she had a few minor injuries inside, which made it so she could only donate 4 or 5 organs instead of, I think it's 6. She was able to save somebody's life, or 5 people's lives. They actually ended up we got messages from 2 of them, the heart and the kidneys, and actually I think we got the liver as well. They were just short, but it was sweet. It was nice to hear from them, and it's amazing. She was such an amazing person that it kind of is warming to know that somebody's out there with a piece of her. It seems corny, but like I got my best friend back because of organ donation, and I know that Maddie would want to help as many people as she could. That's just the kind of person she was. She was, honestly, people like that, you don't realize how much you need them until they're gone and how much they make a difference in your life. She was amazing, and the people who have a piece of her are lucky. And I'm so grateful for people like her. Oh, I don't know if I did everything.
I'll never forget the time when I nearly avoided a cancer diagnosis back in 3rd grade. I never needed a transplant, but being in the hospital as much as I was, I definitely saw people there who did. It was very impactful seeing people there clinging to the hope that one day they would receive the call that a donor had been found for them. It's very tragic knowing that some people never get that call. I knew I had to do something to make sure more people got another chance at life. As Matt, a double lung transplant recipient, said, "I see every day alive as a good day." It's amazing seeing those who have received the gift of life making the best of their life and keeping their donor's legacy alive. I believe that every moment alive is a good moment, and it's our responsibility to work towards making every moment alive a great moment. As Confucius famously said, "We have 2 lives, and the second begins when we realize we only have 1." I remember when the doctor came into the room and said I might only have 1 to 2 years to live, and that's when I truly understood that quote. When I survived despite the prediction, I knew I had to make the most of life, as do organ donation recipients. We can choose to be average, or we can choose to be great. I realize that there's no reason to not chase greatness, because what better do I have to do in life? I could have lost it all, but I didn't, and if I don't work hard, then what was the point of ever surviving? If I waste away my time, then it'll be the same as having died then. I don't believe in heroes with capes. I believe in everyday heroes like you and I who work hard each and every day to make the lives of those around us better. It all starts with one small step, and it can even be just taking 2 minutes to sign up for organ donation so that when the time comes when you leave this earth, you have the chance to save up to 8 lives even after you're gone. Even being under the age of 19, you can get signed up for organ donation with parent permission. And after you sign up, make sure to let others know so that they can sign up too. The truth of it is, 90% of British Columbians agree with organ donation, but only 28% register their decision. So register today and choose to live life and pass it on. This brings us to the end of the presentation. During lunch today, there will be a booth set up in the Grand Hall. Bobby will be joining me, and we invite you to come by to ask any questions you may have. Now, to see who is actually paying attention, on screen is a link to a quiz. Every question you answer correctly gets you an entry to win a $25 gift card of your choice. Thank you to Lucas Stiles for filming and editing the whole presentation, and thank you to Joanne and Krista for taking the time to sit down and share their stories with us. Thank you to Bobby for coming out to help out with the booth, and a big thank you to Alicia from BC Transplant for all the help along the way. Lastly, thank you to school administrators for giving me the opportunity to present this to the student body, and thank you for watching. Stay classy, CSS.